Jaw jack, for stepping in my zone, you wanna play the Game of Thrones? Get your head chopped, show 'em that the king is home. New era Corleone, don't ever cross the fam, cause once you do, your death is getting rubber stamped. I mean, I'm getting amped, you better take cover, or get your heart broke apart like a jilted lover. I wasn't thinking of you, but now you're
What
on
up,
my
y'all?
mind.
It's your boy, Mr. Vaughn. Mr. Vaughn, Channel Sweatbox. We back, we live, we active here on the channel. Yes, indeed. Yes, we are. You know how we do. And we're here to talk about another episode of Game of Thrones, Season 7, Episode 6, Beyond the Wall. Let's talk about this episode. Man, as we wrapping up the season, this is the penultimate episode. The season finale is next week. Let's talk about this episode. This episode, we basically focused on the group beyond the wall, traveling to do that mission. And we basically were at Winterfell. We had a scene at Dragonstone. We had a couple scenes at Dragonstone with Dany and Tyrion. But that was it. Not a lot of travel. We didn't really check in with King's Landing at all in this episode. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's start with Winterfell and the whole drama between the sisters Stark, Arya and Sansa. I really enjoyed the scene where Sansa and Arya were talking, overlooking the courtyard of Winterfell, and Arya's telling a story about shooting the bow and having to go get the arrow again, and how she just automatically transfers that into, yeah, and Father watching, he applauded, and now he's dead because of the Lannisters, and you helped him do it. And then it just went into the act. Sansa was taken back. She's like, what are you talking about? What? And it was crazy. I love that scene. That was a great scene. And then the scene where Sansa finds the faces. Where Sansa finds the faces. I like that. She was genuinely terrified of Arya, and Arya played that scene to a T. Played that scene to a T. It was just great. It was awesome. And then let's talk about the scene. So real quick, it's very irritating. The fact that she sent off Brienne, I got a lot of questions about that. Is that a fake note? Is that legit? Why did she send Brienne? Did she send Brienne to protect Arya? Or, I mean, I'm super interested to see how that's all going to play out. Super interested to see how that's going to play out. Again, what's Littlefinger's endgame? What is Littlefinger's endgame? To divide the sisters, if he's working, it seems to be working. I still don't think it's gonna, at the end of the day, I still think Littlefinger dies next week in the season finale. I think we see the death of Littlefinger next week. But we shall see. We shall see how it unfolds for the sisters Stark. But I liked everything about that. I know Cousin Mo, who's not here this week, he was very upset with Sansa, as he always is. So, we'll see. But I like the storyline of that. I liked that. All right, let's talk about Dragonstone real quick. The scene with Tyrion and Dany was a great scene because I loved how it started off very complimentary. Dany telling Tyrion why she likes him and all that. And then it got very aggressive when Tyrion started advising her about what to do. And when Tyrion started advising her about successors and all that, she got very upset. But that was a good scene. It was a good scene because Tyrion spoke truth. And you can tell in the conversation, that's why she chose him as hand. Like she said, you're not a hero, no, even though she didn't mean to take offense by it. Even she didn't mean to make it seem like she didn't think Tyrion was a heroic. But I like that was a really good scene. I love the reference that Tyrion made to her being in love with Jon Snow and Jon Snow being in love with her. She's like, he's too small for me. Well, you better know Jon Snow's about that life. Nigga that murdered more people than any husband you've been with. And that includes, and I know who your husbands were. He's murdered more people than Khal Drogo and Daario Naharis. And those are two thorough killers. But Jon's been through wars, man. If you look what Jon has survived, including tonight, we'll get to that. So yeah, that was basically the scene then. And then obviously the scene of her leaving Dragonstone when she goes to save Jon. So yeah, those were the scenes. So, but the meat of this episode was spent beyond the wall. That's why it's called Beyond the Wall with our group. There was so many interactions that were awesome. I loved the scene between Jon and Jorah discussing Longclaw. and John trying to give Longclaw back. You knew Jorah wasn't going to accept it. You knew Jorah wasn't going to take it back. So that was good. I love the scene of them giving Gendry a hard time. Gendry's talking to the Brotherhood like, you guys tried to kill me. The Hound's like, yeah, but you didn't. Get over it. This guy's been killed 6 times. You don't hear him whining. It was awesome. You could do a whole hour of just the different interactions between that group of people. The scene with Tormund talking to the Hound about Brienne. It was awesome. It was awesome. And then Tormund almost died, and I thought for sure Tormund was dead. I thought for sure 100% Tormund was dead. We did lose somebody. We lost Thoros and Mira to the dead bear. With Thoros might have had the line of the episode. You all right? He said, I just got bit by a dead bear. Crazy, right? So that was all cool. The bear looked a little CGI, but I'll give it a pass. I'm not worried about that because the dragons looked epic. So then another scene that I liked was the scene between Beric and Jon when they were talking about the Night King. All the scenes. First of all, the whole setup of the fight scene of having them out on the lake and having the water not be frozen enough for the whole army to get to them, so that gave them time. It was great. I loved it. Very good writing, very good story progression. I like how they did that. It was really good. The Hound had me dying. He had so many jokes. Hound had all the best lines in this episode. So yeah, I like that. Like I said, the bear attack was cool. We did lose Thoros and Mira, and I like how we lost Thoros. He died. He didn't die right away. He just died like a normal person would. They're stranded on a rock for 24 hours. He dies from his wounds and he freezes to death. That's super realistic, of course. And his death was just, because Thoros was not a major character, but he is somebody that you remember. He's been in the series for a long time, since I think we first meet Thoros in season 3. It was either season 2 or 3. It was season 3 because it was after they escaped Harrenhal. So we meet Thoros in season 3. So rest in peace, Thoros and Mira. You were a great character. All of the scenes with them using their flaming swords was awesome. That was awesome. The scene of Beric putting the sword out, sticking it in the ice to put the sword out was dope. I loved it. This episode was very cool, man. Very cool. And it's just the fan service coming up is yeah. They're delivering on the fan service. And a lot of people don't seem to be happy with them delivering on fan service. We've had 6 seasons of them not delivering on fan service. I'm glad we're getting a little fan service. So I'm not. It's good storytelling. I'm liking it. So let's get to the scene let's get to the crux of the show, the main event of the show. The death of Viserion. The dragon was killed by the White Walkers. Threw the spear, hit him in the neck, and he just bled out. I loved how when he first hit him, it was like a plane got hit and was flaming. That was awesome. Then it turned to blood. Oh, that was dope. Visually, that was very impressive. Visually, it was very impressive. Jon Snow once again being Mr. Invincible. We get the return of Benjen Stark, and we also get the death of Benjen Stark, aka Cold Hands. He comes to save Jon, and then he sacrifices his life to make sure Jon can get away. So as you can see, we're really wrapping things up, man. They're trying to make sure they can wrap up as many loose ends as possible as we get ready for the season finale next week. And then after that, 6 episodes. Sorry about that. We cut off in the middle of it. I'm trying to work on these new technical difficulties. We got a new SD card, but we're working on it. So we were talking about how I liked the visuals of when Viserion got killed. All of that was so cool. How the fire turned to blood. He drowned out. Then we get the scene of them pulling his dead body out of the water and reincarnating him as the dead dragon for the Night King's army. Epic. Of course, we knew it was going to be epic. Beautifully shot. Beautifully done. There's one more scene I want to talk about, and that's the scene between Jon and Daenerys. After Jon gets rescued by Cold Hands, he comes back, he's alive. They have that moment where she notices the wounds, and then they connect, where he bends the knee. He bends the knee, she's the queen, Bob's your uncle. But it was a good scene, I like it. For having had such short amount of screen time, I actually am believing the little chemistry that they have with each other. I'm buying it. given the fact that they've only shared the screen for 3 episodes, but I'm buying it. So, whatever, I'm on board. Call me whatever you want. I'm buying it. I think they did a good job of portraying the emotion that everybody was going through. Dani was so emotional after the death of her dragon, as she should be. Those are her kids. She talks about that. She expresses that. And, yeah, I liked it. I liked everything about this episode. Next week, we got the season finale. What are we going to get? I'm excited to know. Keep it tuned in right here for all your Game of Thrones needs. I know I'm forgetting to talk about some stuff. But that's how it is. This is the episode. I just got done watching the episode. I know I don't remember everything. But that was basically a quick synopsis. I know I'm missing some points. It was epic. Rest in peace, Viserion. What's going to happen next? 1 episode left, baby. It's your boy, Mr. Vaughn. Mr. Vaughn's channel, Sweatbox. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next week, you know how we do. Peace. 100, y'all.